comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So this is coming directly from the hospital bed. I apologize for yesterday's podcast. It was a little bit short, but there were extenuating circumstances, and I just got told that they were going to fucking shove a tube in between my ribs. But we'll get to that. Let's go back to the beginning. Yesterday, Sunday morning. It started out as a beautiful day. I was watching the UFC. All the fights were great. I just finished watching Amanda Nunes lose somehow. And I was getting fired up for the Poirier-Oliveira fight, which was on next. And then I get a phone call. And it's my wife, just before the fight's about to start. The main event. And I'm half thinking, I don't even want to answer this fucking call. The fight's about to start. But the fighters were just walking out. So I was like, all right, I'll answer it and I'll just be in and out. I'll get her off the phone real quick. And so I answer the phone and she puts me straight on to her sister, the doctor. And her sister starts asking me questions. She's like, how's your breathing going? I'm like, it's still fucked, but it feels a little bit better. I had a few darts last night and I think it must have opened my airways or something. That's actually how I felt I went to a comedy gig and I had a few darts. And I was like, fuck, darting is like a medicine because it's opened up my airways. I feel fucking heaps better. An hour later, I didn't feel a lot better. I started feeling shit again, but it still felt like I was breathing better. So she asked me that question. Then she's like, is there pain? And I said, no, there's no real pain. My back's a little bit sore. I'm like, anyway, like the fight's about to start. Can we speed this up? And she's like, David, you have to go to emergency immediately. And I'm like, I don't think that will be happening because the fight's about to start. And she's like, no, David, you have a severe pneumothorax. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? A pneumothorax? That sounds like something that can wait 25 minutes. So I'm like, yeah, all right, that's fine. I'll go down to the hospital after the fight. Like I was in no rush. And she's like, no, David, you have to go down now. You need to get some x-rays done to confirm the fucking pneumothorax. And I'm like, what the fuck is this pneumothorax fucking thing? And then I Googled it and it's a collapsed lung. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. But I was pretty chill about it still. I'm like, collapsed lung, I haven't heard anything bad about this. And she's like, no, your lung has been collapsed for like 5 or 6 days now. And it could be a life or death situation. So you better get down there ASAP. So anyway, I watched the fight. Fucking great fight. Oliveira looked like a beast. I had a fucking funny feeling he was going to win that. He looked fucking great. So after the fight finished, I cruised down to the hospital. I'm still not bothered at all because I felt like I was breathing better than I was like 3 or 4 days ago. I was feeling good. I thought the darts had healed me. So I get into emergency and they look concerned. And when doctors look concerned, it's not like fun. So I'm like, what's the go here? What's going on? What are we up to? How long am I going to be in here for? A couple of hours? Because I had a pretty big Sunday planned. They're like, we need to take the x-rays. We need to fucking look at them. We need to test your lungs, blah, blah, blah. Do all that sort of shit. So they do all that and they come back with the x-ray. And they show me the x-ray. They say, see this side, your right lung here? You see how it's like there? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, look at your left side. See that little tiny little fucking inflated balloon there? That's your left lung. And everything around it, all this black shit, is air. So what we need to do is we need to put a tube in between your ribs and release that air so your lung can reinflate. And the first thing I thought was, I better get a fucking podcast out before that happens. So the reality of it kicked in pretty hard. So anyway, I'll go back to how my fucking sister-in-law spotted it. So remember when I went in on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the fuck it was, to get an x-ray of my ribs to see if they were broken or if anything was fucking damaged? Well, when I got that x-ray, I sent... Oh, fuck, my chest is real sore right now. Yo! Yeah, so I got that x-ray and I sent my sister-in-law a picture of that x-ray off my phone, just holding it up to the light bulb in the fucking dodgy hospital. So it was like a real shitty fucking image. And it was of the back of my ribs as well, because that's where the initial pain was. So let's fast forward to Sunday morning. My wife's in Chennai, seeing her sister, and her sister said, bring along those x-rays. I'll take a look at them when you get here. So my wife took them along, and then she lost them somewhere and they couldn't find them. And then just as they were leaving on Sunday, she found the x-rays and my sister-in-law had a look at them. And apparently she was like, fuck. Called her husband over, who's also a doctor. He wasn't even interested. He didn't even want to look at the x-rays because he'd seen the shit on the phone and all that. So she called him over and pointed at my left lung, which wasn't there. So she picked it up. She was the only one who fucking picked it up. She saved my fucking life as much as I shit on doctors. GPs. I shit on GPs, not specialists. Although I'm pretty sure if I went to a GP, they would have known I had a collapsed lung. So maybe that's my bad. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Anyway, she's the one who spotted it. Then she sent it around to a bunch of specialists and they're like, yeah, he definitely has a collapsed lung. So that's how it got spotted. Anyway, let's go back to me in emergency on the bed, getting told they're going to have to fucking shove a tube in my chest. So because there's so many doctors in my family, the head of the department came out. I'm in a little bit of pain here, so this is starting to fucking hurt. Yeah, so the head of department came out. It's like saw on certain letters. Department hurts. The head of department came out and he comes over. He's like, your chest cavity is like 25% filled with air. Your lung can't expand. It needs to reinflate, but the air is stopping it. So what we're going to do, it's a simple procedure. We're just going to shove a fucking tube in between your ribs into the cavity to release the air. And I'm like, that doesn't sound too exciting, but at least I'll be out. I'll be fucking under general anesthetic. That'll be fun. And then the lady doctor who is there is like, no, we just do that with local anesthetic. It's going to hurt like fuck. She didn't say fuck, but she said it's going to hurt a lot. And I'm like, how much pain? She said, a lot. And she said, we can't do this without your cooperation. There's going to be a lot of pain, so just be mentally prepared for that. And I'm like, fuck this. This is not what I wanted for my Sunday. So I called up my sister-in-law. I'm like, is there any way I can fucking not do this? And she's like, no, you need it done now. Because what apparently happens is if you collapse a lung and you leave it too long, which I 110, a fucking 110% was going to leave it for too long if she hadn't have spotted it. What happens is your fucking heart starts moving to the right to fill that gap and all your inner organs get fucking twisted up and you die. So if she hadn't have spotted it, I would have been dead by Wednesday. This podcast would be over. That would have been the real tragedy. So I'm like, all right, it's my time to be a Spartan. And I tell you what, when they fucking told me about how painful it was going to be, I think it was visible on my face. I wasn't too psyched. Anyway, fuck. This fucking tube. So what they did was they put a little fucking local anesthetic into my fucking side where my ribs were. They cut into the skin down to the ribs to make an opening. I'm wide awake for this and you can feel a lot of that. Like I couldn't feel them scalpeling my skin, but once they got to the fucking rib fucking area, it started hurting. I'm like, this is not fucking fun at all. This is the worst Sunday almost ever. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So I did the potty after they told me they're going to have to tap my fucking chest. So you can probably hear the fear in my voice in that 43-second podcast I did off my phone and released off my phone. Anyway, they scalpel down to the ribs and, oh, fuck. The thing is, these fucking painkillers don't even work on this particular fucking shit. Where was I? Yeah, so they scalpel my fucking ribs and then he's like, all right, the tube's going to go in and they've got to fucking jam the tube in between my ribs and push it across my fucking lungs to get to the area where the air is, to release the air so my lung can expand. And at this stage, I'm in so much pain. I'm like, whatever. Just put it in. So he jams it in. It was fucking excruciating. He fucking puts it in, and then you just hear a... You hear the fucking air release out of my chest cavity. So that fucking hurt. I don't know how much longer I can do this fucking podcast for because it's starting to really hurt now. So that was all fine. My fucking lung reinflated almost immediately, which they weren't expecting. But because I'd left it so long, I think the hole had healed itself anyway. So the pain I'm in now is because that tube that they jammed in between my ribs is still in my chest, and it's in between my inflated lung and the back of my ribs, and every single fucking breath I take fucking hurts. And the painkillers don't really do a lot for it. And I think because I'm talking a lot right now, I'm getting a little bit puffed out, and I'm having to breathe a little bit harder and deeper, and it's starting to really fucking hurt. So I'm going to wrap it up in like now. I'm in the hospital for at least another 2 days. Probably 3. Hopefully I get this tube out of my fucking chest tomorrow. And then they've got to keep me for monitoring or whatever. I think they have to do some other fucking procedure, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. I'm starting to get a little bit fucking sore here. But anyway, that is where the Boyle is at the moment, and it's not fucking fun. Anyway, that will do for tonight. I'm in fucking excruciating pain now. If you're enjoying the podcast, fucking whatever, join the Patreon, cunts, because this is going to be expensive. Oh, fuck, that hurt. Anyway, that will do for tonight, and I'll see you the fuck later.